Hi, what's happening, y'all? It's your boy Rico from Street Scores, and today we're coming with a Rico report. Of course, most of y'all already know by now, but just in case if you don't, these Rico reports are extremely random. A lot of the times funny. We look at a lot of really random stats, advanced stats, random rankings, any random news that fell in between the cracks. You know, I typically report on anything big and make like one video about that one particular topic, but so many things is just random small things, and I just feel like everything I know y'all should know as well. So I try to leave anything extra that may have happened, even if it were weeks or months ago, try to all include them in Rico reports to catch y'all up on every inch of Commanders news. Every single corner, we leave no stone left unturned. That's what these Rico reports are for. So today we have a lot to talk about. The most notable topics are, will the Commanders end their playoff drought? We're going to take a look at a lot of the teams that are still on a serious playoff drought, who's most likely to actually get out of it. Also, does Washington have the quickest wide receivers in the NFL? We have some advanced stats to actually say yes. Also, we're going to take a look at the top 12 most annoying NFL fan bases and where Washington ranks in that, and where the entire NFC East ranks in that, because the entire NFC East is in fact in that top 12. We have 4 teams, all 4 of our teams in our division are in that top 12, so we got to take a look at the entire top 12, but most importantly, where all of the NFC East teams rank in there. And then it's kind of like a double-edged sword, because if you're the team that's most hated, it's more than likely because you've been winning the most, and if you're the team that's the least hated, it's probably because you're the team that's been losing the most. And so that's why teams just don't even have necessarily a reason to hate you. But we're gonna dive into all of that and way more. But before we do, make sure you stiff arm that like button, stiff arm that subscription button, and stiff arm the bell next to that subscription button so you get notification each and every time I release an informative and opinionated video just like this one. Y'all already know how these Rico reports go, and again, make sure y'all stay tuned for all of the live streams and all of the content I have coming out during the regular season. Y'all already see me coming out with like 2-3 videos a day at certain points in the off season, and sometimes even like 5 videos in one day depending on what's going on. When we get to this regular season, we're about to get right back to it. Live streams every game. We're gonna have preview videos before the game, review videos after the game, and also call in live streams for you, the viewer. You watching this right now can easily just call into the show. It should be free for you, and then you give your opinions on everything that happened in the game that just happened. If we play from 1 to 4, those call in live shows typically start around like 5 or 6. So man, and again, I have constant videos, daily uploads that are going to be coming out every day. I'm still working on a lot of the rookie film sessions and all of that, so stay tuned. Without further ado, let's get it.
You tell your family you're gonna be a commander.
All right, so first of all, are the Commanders one of 14 NFL teams fighting for the chance to get out of a really bad drought? Just to let you know, there are 12 teams that are hoping this year will be the first time they win a playoff game, and at the very least 5+ years. You have the Lions, the Dolphins, the Raiders, the Commanders, the Jets, the Bears, the Panthers, Cardinals, Broncos, Steelers, Falcons, Patriots, Chargers, and Colts. Looking at that list, I could easily say that maybe the Dolphins are one of the teams that have a good chance. The Jets have a pretty good chance. Maybe the Steelers, maybe a good chance there. The Chargers, maybe. And then there's us. I easily feel like we're at the very least in the top 7, top 5. I really do, man. I know this division is tough, but looking at the rest of the NFC and our chances of at least getting one of those last couple of seeds, even if we don't win the division, is actually quite likely. I mean, again, last year we went 8-1. And we're going from Taylor Heineke and Carson Wentz that we were winning in spite of, and a lot of the reasons that we lost games were because of those guys. From those guys to the Sam Howell that you've been seeing this entire offseason, preseason, and all of that, and what you saw week 18 against the Cowboys. Going from Scott Turner to Eric Bieniemy, this offensive line looks better than last year, at the very least healthier, and a little bit. I mean, we're still working on chemistry and things like that, but Samuel Cosmi looks like he's about to have a Brandon Sheriff level of ascension at guard. So I'm thinking at the very least that should make the difference in half a win. You go from 8-1 to 9-8. I'll take that, man. I think that's playoff bound, and I feel like we could easily go 10-7. I really do. I feel like the schedule is a little bit more difficult than last year, but I think ultimately we should be able to win it, man. We were like such small things away from 2 or 3 more games last year. Remember that Tennessee Titans last drive where Carson Wentz just couldn't score? That's a part blame on Scott Turner and Carson Wentz. Remember both the Giants game, one of them we got cheated out of, the other one we tied. We should have won that. We had plenty of opportunities to win that. Those are 3 wins alone there, let alone the Vikings game where they shouldn't have called that pass interference, in my opinion, on Benjamin St. Juste on that pick 6 that would have ended that game. That's 4 more wins right there. That is an 11-6 team right there alone. We could even dive into more games where, you know, ifs and all kinds of stuff. We talk about injuries and things like that, but even just ignoring injuries, if we were just like 1 play away from winning more games. And so I just don't see why we shouldn't be able to do that. Now, NDD, NFL Draft Diamonds, came out with their articles for the teams that they feel like will have the best chance to end their playoff droughts. They have the Jets, the Broncos, Lions, Falcons, Panthers, Packers, which is just, that list is crazy. I already gave you my list, and like I said, I would take the Broncos out of this. I would definitely take the Lions out of this, even though the Lions I feel like are underrated. I would take the Falcons out of this, but maybe I'm biased because they're the team I hate the most in the NFL. And I would definitely take the Panthers out of this, dog. I know the NFC South is wide open, and I mean, if we were in the NFC South right now, we would probably be the favorites to win it. I mean, that division is ugly right now. I mean, you never know. The Saints may be something with Derek Carr, but man, that's probably the only reason they have the Panthers or the Falcons, because between one of those guys, somebody may win this division and maybe win a playoff game. Who knows? And then the Green Bay Packers, I'm not a big Jordan Love fan, even though the team is still fairly talented. I'm a big believer in Christian Watson, but I just don't really see it with them either. I can't believe they have those 6 teams over us. That's insane. And even again, just going back to the other list, to have those 6 teams over other teams like the Dolphins or even the Steelers potentially, or the Chargers, I don't see it. The Chargers were that close to ending their drought, and they just completely wet the bed and folded at the end of that game and let Trevor Lawrence have one of the best come-from-behind wins I've ever seen in my lifetime. So they were that close to ending their drought last year. All they got to do is just score 1 more touchdown out of all of that, or just don't give up as many touchdowns in the second half of that game. Now moving on, former wide receiver James Jones challenged Chase Young, like out loud on Fox 1 like a couple of months ago. He literally said, quote, "You have a Pro Bowl as a rookie and then you just went missing. We know you coming off an injury. We did not pick up your 5th-year option. It is time to go. Show the world that you are that dude. Chase Young, the pressure is on you to say that you were one of the premier pass rushers and defensive players in this league," unquote. And I'm pretty sure that's the same message that not only Commanders fans, teammates, and coaches have for Chase Young, but I'm pretty sure Chase Young is probably thinking the same exact thing. Like, I am that guy. It's time for me to go out there and prove it. And just to let you know, that man has been everywhere. He was working out with Von Miller at one point. He was working out with Odell Beckham Jr. at one point. And he even went back to Ohio State to work with Larry Johnson before training camp started. Here's that hype video right here if you haven't seen it. So yeah, man, Chase Young, it's time, man. This is your last year of your deal because we didn't pick up your 5th-year option. You and Montez Sweat are pretty much competing for the same contract, because I highly doubt we'll be able to keep both of y'all. If we do, it would have to be sign one guy long-term and then franchise tag the other one. And we already know how franchise tags go. They never work out long-term. You're just buying time to end up letting the guy go anyway to another team. But yeah, man, the fact that you won a Pro Bowl as a rookie, and granted, a lot of it has been injuries, but even the reason that not as many people are optimistic about Chase Young coming back from an injury compared to maybe some other star players that have come back from injuries is because even after you came back from the injury late last season in 2022, there was still some technique issues there. But one thing I always got to give Chase Young and Montez Sweat credit for is that they are elite edge defenders and run defenders. Without them, there's a noticeable difference in how we stop the run. So at the very least, they have that. So I feel like that goes kind of over some fans' heads. People think he's just a complete bust. At the very least, I mean, he may not have lived up to his number 2 overall pick yet, but at the very least, he's one of the best edge setters and run defenders at the edge rusher position out of the entire NFL. At the very least, top 8. So that's not necessarily a bust, but we're hoping that he can contribute and get some double-digit sacks in the pass rush game and things like that. We need consistency. We need some strip sacks, all of that type of stuff. We need some game-changing plays, some game-breaking plays for you to earn that number 2 overall pick. And that's what we're expecting, not later, but now. Not soon, no, now, this year, Chase Young. And that's coming from me, man, who's a big fan of you, and I'm one of the people that definitely believes that Chase Young will get back to that form, even just what I've seen so far in the training camp and things like that. And out of the 4 snaps he had against the Browns in that preseason game, the one he got hurt on, that was a really good pass rush. That was explosive, but most importantly, there was some technique in there to get the offensive tackle away from him. But also, explosion-wise, too, that's really significant because with him returning from his torn ACL and his knee pretty much exploding on him on a non-contact injury, usually guys just don't come back from that ever, and even if they do, they're not 100% themselves. But Chase Young looked really explosive on that play as well, so I'm very optimistic about his future. As long as he's good recovering from that stinger, we're good to go, man. I think Chase Young is gonna have a phenomenal season, but it's still worth calling him out and making sure that he's on notice. Now, moving on, Sam Howell, I don't know if y'all saw it, but he appeared on a magazine. It's called Hot Living. I don't know, I've never heard of it before, but shouts out to him for being on covers of magazines already. And this was a while ago. This was back in mid-July type of stuff, like before training camp even started, I believe. So hey man, you're seeing the pictures right now. Shouts out to him. I love it.
Yes sir, my dog Spiff on no magazine, boy. You better stop playing with little bruh, man.
Also, speaking of quarterback, 33rd team winning calculated the average age of every team's quarterback 1, wide receiver 1, and running back 1, and we have one of the lowest numbers in the entire NFL. Almost the lowest number. We have a 25 average age between Sam Howell, Terry McLaurin, and Brian Robinson. And right now, with Terry McLaurin assuming to be ready for week 1, but who completely knows right now? Technically, Jahan Dotson is our wide receiver 1 right now. Some people would argue even when Terry McLaurin is 100% healthy, Jahan Dotson is our number 1 receiver. Some people argue. So that would actually bring our average age down, and maybe we would have the lowest average age out of everybody. But regardless, you have the Falcons at 22.5. You have the Texans at 23.2. The Colts at 23.8. I mean, there's no coincidence that all of these teams have really young quarterbacks that either just got drafted going into the rookie seasons or at the very latest going into their sophomore seasons. And then there's us with Sam Howell going into his sophomore season. But yeah, man, I thought that was really interesting, a random stat. Now for the moment that a lot of y'all probably have been waiting for this entire video. So there was apparently some type of poll that went around by FFT, and they ranked the top 12 most annoying fan bases, and we came in 8th. But and then the Buccaneers are behind us at 9th, then the Raiders, then the Bills, then the Ravens. So we're the most annoying team in Maryland. But at the least, we're not the most annoying team in the NFC East, because like I said, the entire NFC East is in the top 12, and I just read to you 8 through 12. None of those names appeared there with great reason. So let's go ahead and get to it. Number 7 are the Cleveland Browns, and that's really interesting. I don't know any Browns fans, so I mean, I can't speak on that. I don't know any Buccaneers fans either. I can imagine Raiders fans because LA dominates that. I'm pretty sure Vegas, all of that could be bad. I don't know about Bills, and I don't know any Ravens fans. I'm from Atlanta, so I don't know any Baltimore Ravens fans, but I can imagine that if you're born and raised in Maryland, how that may be annoying, especially with them having such success really over the course. Ever since the Commanders or the Redskins, Washington football team, whatever, have been bad, the Ravens have been good to great. So I can see how that could be annoying, especially in the Maryland area. And then Kansas City Chiefs just keep winning. That's just, I mean, that's going to make a fan base insufferable no matter what. They're number 5. And then you have the Green Bay Packers number 4, constantly winning. A lot of people probably just hate Aaron Rodgers even now that he's on to the Jets, and probably just hate the fan base because of the constant winning and just being jealous of the fact that they went from franchise quarterback Brett Favre to franchise quarterback Aaron Rodgers. So they don't know what it's like to not have a certified Hall of Famer at quarterback for like the last 30 years. They're going to find out with Jordan Love real soon, though. And then the New England Patriots at number 2, understandably so, with them winning all of the time. That makes a lot of sense. But then NFC East-wise, you have the New York Giants at 6, the Dallas Cowboys at 3, and of course, did anybody ever doubt that the Philadelphia Eagles will be number 1? They are the worst fan base, and I feel so sorry for the people that I do know that are Philadelphia Eagles fans that aren't that bad. But boy, I mean, just off of the fact that when they win a Super Bowl, the only Super Bowl they've ever won in their NFL franchise history, they're out there looting businesses, burning businesses down, flipping innocent people's cars. Like, come on, dog. And even before then, they were known as the fan base that's the most ready to fight for absolutely no reason. That's why some people don't even like going to Eagles games in their stadium. I'm pretty sure Eagles fans love that, though, because they never have to worry about what the Commanders have had to worry about, the Washington football team and the Redskins have had to worry about for a lot of years under Dan Snyder, where we don't have home field advantage. Usually the stadium is filled with the opponent's team more than our own fan base. Eagles never had to deal with that, because even if they're not good, a lot of people are just afraid to even go there just in general, even if their team is better. And then, of course, the Cowboys, they're everywhere. America's team, all that type of stuff. Of course, they're number 3. I'm surprised by the Giants, though. I don't really know any annoying Giants fans, but then again, maybe that's just a New York thing, because like Knicks fans, Yankees fans, they probably just lump Giants fans because they're probably all the same people. I can see where that would be pretty obnoxious. I know a lot of people hate Knicks and Yankees fans, especially Knicks fans. They are the loudest, most energetic people. I respect them, though, because win or loss, the Knicks can be completely winless, and them guys will still be out there celebrating like they won the Super Bowl off of just winning their first game of the regular season type of stuff. They will celebrate being a ninth seed like no other fan base. So I respect the Knicks. I know they're loud and obnoxious, but Knicks fans, man, I respect the fact that they're there no matter how bad it gets for that team, and I'm pretty sure they probably feel the same way about the Giants and the Yankees, whatever's going on. But I do want to point out the fact that out of the NFC East, the Washington Commanders have the least annoying fan base, even though we've been rated the 8th most annoying fan base out of the entire NFL. At least out of the NFC East, we're the least. But like I said in the intro, that may not necessarily be a good thing. The Cowboys are annoying because they've been at the very least consistently good. The Eagles, Eagles are different, but they just came back from a Super Bowl and they just won a Super Bowl a couple of years ago. And then the Giants have usually been consistently good. And since I've been like relative adult, high school, middle school, the Giants have at the very least been good, have won a couple of Super Bowls. Then you just have the Commanders that haven't won a playoff game in forever, and so it's amazing we're one of the most annoying fan bases, because like, what did we do? We haven't even been winning, whereas the Giants and Cowboys and Eagles have been winning definitely more than us as of late, at least since Dan Snyder's been here overall. Now moving on, one really interesting statistic is that the Washington's record when they force a turnover is 7-7-1 from last year. That is crazy. As long as we force one turnover, we were 7-1-1 last year. But when we didn't force at least one turnover, 0-5. That's where all of the other losses came from. That is crazy. Well, up till December 22nd, just to let you know. That's up till December 22nd when we were 7-6-1. 7-1-1 when we at least forced one turnover, and 0-5 when we didn't. Shouts out to my boy Commanders Realm for that statistic. But again, that's all the way up to December 2nd. And then also, really random, shouts out to Football Insights for this on Twitter. Highest target rate with at least a step of separation, but an uncatchable pass among tight ends last year. Kyle Pitts, 23%. Logan Thomas, 18%. Mark Andrews, 11%. And Jordan Atkins at 10%. Everybody has to have at least a minimum of 50 targets. That says a lot about how bad the QB play was and how much Logan Thomas had to make ridiculous catches that just, he was out there separating from the guy, at least got 1 yard of separation, and then the quarterback is throwing an uncatchable pass. Oh my God, man. Poor Logan Thomas. How are you overthrowing Logan Thomas at 6'6"? I love Taylor Heinicke and everything he did for us, but we were definitely winning in spite of him for the most part. And that, if any stat shows you, is that right there, dog. Poor Kyle Pitts with Desmond Ridder. Poor Logan Thomas with Taylor Heinicke last year. Poor Kyle Pitts has to deal with Desmond Ridder once again. I'm not a big Desmond Ridder fan like a lot of people are, but at the very least, Logan Thomas does not have to deal with Taylor Heinicke or Carson Wentz anymore. He has Sam Howell now that should be able to hit him as long as he's healthy. Now also, Another reason that a lot of people may have tuned into this video, I have it as part of the thumbnail and everything for a reason, because this is really notable. I'm actually very proud of this stat. So of course, next gen stats, they always have the most random statistics and measures and stuff like that, really advanced stats. They ranked the quickest receiver burst from the 2022 season with at the very least a minimum of 100 routes ran, and then they do it by average max speed miles per hour. Top 5, Terry McLaurin's number 1, DJ Moore number 2, Curtis Samuel number 3, Robbie Anderson number 4, and Darius Slayton number 5. So Terry McLaurin is apparently the quickest receiver in the NFL, and Curtis Samuel's number 3. And then Jahan Dotson, you could argue, is our best route runner. So do we have the quickest, fastest, best separating receiving group in the entire NFL? Those advanced stats from Next Gen Stats sounds like it to me, man. I don't know, man. Terry McLaurin number 1, Curtis Samuel number 3. Stop playing with them. As long as Terry McLaurin comes back fully healthy, we are good to go, man. I am very happy about that. Also, shouts out to Eben Novi Williams on Twitter. He tweeted out from 2008 to 2022, the Dan Snyder-owned Commanders went from first in NFL attendance to dead last. You're looking at the chart right now. That is absolutely amazing. That is crazy. That is like insane. We went from first in NFL attendance in 2008 to dead last in 2022. I'm pretty sure we will not be dead last this year, though. You already see it in the preseason that the fans are pulling up and showing out, so I'm not worried about that at all. But that's just a really random statistic to just let you know how bad it was under Dan Snyder, man. And we didn't even have a lot of seasons where we only won like 3 games or less. Some franchises have done that more than we did since 2008. We've typically just been really average, but it's more so just been boycotting Dan Snyder than boycotting the team that's just been losing. That's been the majority of it. Dan Snyder has been the biggest culprit. Losing on the field hasn't helped, but it was definitely more Dan Snyder than anything on the field that was going on. And then lastly, Locked On NFL Network did a 2024 mock draft all the way back on July 25th. They have us with the 8th pick. So not only are we the 8th most annoying fan base, according to some people, Locked On NFL Network, or Locked On Draft, my fault, has us picking 8th in the 2024 NFL Draft. Well, let me go ahead and let you know that that's not going to happen. We are going to be way too good and way too talented. We're going to ball out. We're making the playoffs. I would even dare to say that we're going to at least win 1 playoff game. So we're not going to be picking 8th overall. But I just wanted to mention this because as a Georgia Bulldog fan, for them to mock us, tight end Brock Bowers from Georgia, that makes me so happy. Matter of fact, where's my shirt at right now? I feel like I gotta show it. I really hope we are not bad enough to get my boy Brock Bowers. I really hope we are nowhere near bad enough to get him, because I honestly feel like he's gonna end up going top 5 in the draft anyway. I don't even think he's gonna be there at 8, but I hope we're not even within 10 picks of my boy Brock Bowers getting picked in the draft, and I don't think we will. But I just wanted to talk about that because as a Commander and Georgia Bulldogs fan, that would make me so happy. I don't know what would have to happen if we were to trade up for him or something. I don't know. I don't even want to speak anything to existence because I need him to ball out for my Georgia Bulldogs this year so we can go ahead and go back to back. You know what I'm saying? 3rd championship in a row. But again, I'm only bringing this up because I'm a Commander and Georgia Bulldogs fan, and that marriage of a Georgia player to my Commanders never happens. I mean, the most recent was Jordan Thomas, I guess. I mean, technically Jake Fromm is our 3rd string quarterback right now, and I was very impressed with that game-winning drive against the Ravens. But other than that, I have not really counted him as a Georgia Bulldog on here. Not an impactful one, at least. We had that one Georgia tight end. I can't remember his name right now. And then you got to go back to Jordan Thomas. And then before that, Bakari Rambo? That's not a great list of guys. I see the Commanders picking up all of these Alabama guys, all of these Oklahoma guys, going back to Trent Williams and Adrian Peterson and all of them people. A lot of Ohio State guys and Terry McLaurin and Curtis Samuel. I mean, we just pick up so many players from so many different teams, and we just completely don't acknowledge Georgia. The Philadelphia Eagles and Steelers have caught on to the secret. Sadly, my Commanders haven't yet, and I doubt we will in this upcoming draft because a lot of our players are probably going high in the draft just because I think we're going to go back to back with a straight face. But hey, man, I would love for some impactful Georgia players on my Washington Commanders so I can root for them just as passionately for them as I did in college at the NFL level as well. Now, that's enough of my random Georgia Commander rant. That is the end of this video. Please stiff arm that like button, stiff arm arm the subscription button and stiff arm the bell next to that subscription button if you enjoyed this video. If you're looking forward to more content, like all of the content I laid out for you in the intro before we dove into the video. Of course, let me know in the comment section how you feel about everything discussed in this video, especially the top most annoying fan bases in the NFL, Chase Young being called out by different national media members, us having the quickest wide receiver group in the NFL, all of that type of stuff, man. Please let me know how you feel about all of that, of course, and I appreciate all the support, man. Shouts out to all of my sponsors, especially my Pro Bowl sponsors. Names you scrolling on the screen right now. I'm gonna catch y'all later. I'm out.